We're gonna rank some Smash Bros. Games today from worst to best, and hopefully everybody in the comments agrees with me. And I think that's what's gonna happen. So last on our list, we have Super Smash Brothers. Nothing else, just Super Smash Bros. The original Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64. I think obviously the first one in a lot of long-lasting series is going to be either the best in the series or the worst. And in this case, it happens to be the worst. Not because it's a bad game, but because every game that has come out after the original Super Smash Bros. Has improved in almost every aspect of the original game. Character size, the modes, the movesets, just about everything. It'd be hard for me to put this anywhere above the last two spots. I debated on which one to put here in the last spot, but I think it's gotta be Smash Bros. 64. Just because if you were to play it for an afternoon, you would probably run out of things to do. I've played this game a total of one time at some kind of convention or something, and I played a couple matches with my brother, and I just was not a fan of the gameplay, not a fan of how floaty it was, not a fan of how limited the character roster was. Obviously, that's just a product of its time, but I gotta put Super Smash Bros. In last place as the worst Smash Bros. Game of all time. But that one's kind of expected. What's the next worst Smash Bros. Game of all time? Well, that honor goes to Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS. Smash Bros. Is a fun party game you can play with your friends. Super Smash Bros. For 3DS is that game technically, but if you want to play multiplayer, you have to have a friend who has a 3DS. That's why it's going on the second worst spot on my list. Because a lot of it is a lot of single player modes, and that was great to hold us over for, Smash Wii U, when there's two games coming out at the same time. But Smash Bros. Is really meant for you and your friend, or you and your friends, to sit on the couch and play a couple games of Smash. It's very hard to do that with Smash Bros. For 3DS. Not saying it wasn't a cool single player experience, at least for a little bit, especially me sitting in the back of my mom's car playing that on a road trip or something like that, but there's just not a lot to do here. Smash Run was really fun, and I think one of the best parts about this game is Smash Run. It was a very fun mode, and I really wish they would bring it to more current Smash Bros. Games, but I don't think that can carry this game to be any higher on this list. So I'm going to put Super Smash Bros. For 3DS in second to last place on my Smash Bros. Ranking. Number 4 was really hard to come up with a ranking for because, again, putting it number 4, I have a lot of nostalgia for, and I have a lot of nostalgia especially for the announcement cycle or like the hype cycle for this game, but I have to go with Super Smash Bros. 4. It conveniently lands at number 4 on my Smash Bros. Ranking. I actually really like Smash Bros. 4. I think it gets a lot of hate, and there were a lot of changes from Brawl that I think it shouldn't have made. I didn't like how there wasn't a story mode compared to Brawl. I wasn't a fan of some of the character choices like Corrin at the time. I wasn't a fan of the gameplay, how it was very floaty, but it was a huge improvement gameplay wise, I think, over Smash Bros. Brawl. There are a lot of fan favorite characters cut that people didn't like. The menu is very strange. There's a lot of interesting choices made in this game. Classic mode was changed. There's a lot of changes that were, I feel like, unnecessary, but it's still a good game and it's still a fun time if you go back and play it. I don't own a Wii U anymore because that's weird, but if you do own a Wii U and you still have it, you should go back and play it. I just feel like it was a very strange era of Smash Bros. It was a very cool competitive scene, and there were a lot of good aspects about this game. It introduced, the Miis and custom fires, introduced custom stages. There are a lot of good ideas, but unfortunately I think that the game after it definitely improved it in each and every way. Another thing that it did add, and it did very well on, I think, were the character announcements, making them trailers and making them interesting little character trailers that were very high quality. That was really cool, and that was something that did definitely carry over to Ultimate, which I really liked. Outside of that, I think there's a lot of downsides that kind of plague this game, so it's got to go in the number 4 spot. So for a lot of you, and for me, the top 3 was obvious. So I think that this next one is definitely going to be the one that makes people probably the most angry at me. But I'm just going to come out and say it. Melee is going in number 3. Now, I understand. People love Melee.
It's terrible. You picked Brawl over Melee? You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to start an angry mob.
I know. I get it. I get you guys are upset.
See what you did? Yeah. You going to change your answer?
Yeah, okay, I know you guys are upset, but just hear me out on this one, okay? Melee is a very good game, especially for the time it came out. However, Melee came out in what, 2001, right? I was born in 2002. This game is older than I am. I didn't ever get into it, and I'm sorry, and I apologize because people love this game, and I understand. I think because of the time crunch that Melee had to be made in, it definitely had a lot of problems to it. But coincidentally, those problems led to a very fun gameplay experience. Melee still has a very, very popular competitive setting. Still a whole lot of Melee tournaments going on, people playing Melee online. It's a very cool competitive game community, but on its own, there's not a whole lot of stuff to do. I mean, you've got classic mode for each character and target test, which by the way needs to come back. Target test is sick, but you've got stuff like classic mode, target test, and you've got the adventure mode, which I actually really like. I wish it was a little longer or like changed for the character you played as. Still very cool, still a very cool adventure mode. I'd love for that to return as well in the next game. You've got All-Star mode, and that's kind of it as far as single player experience. So while this has really great gameplay, the character roster isn't as varied and is not as big as other games, and I think the single player ends up getting pretty repetitive at times, and there's just not a whole lot to do in it besides play one-on-one matches, which is fun and it's great. But I think the other games in the series that are left, I think that they do that a little bit better than Melee does. And maybe I'm biased because I wasn't alive when this game came out. I got it recently and played it a little bit more, and it's fun, but it's not as fun, in my opinion, or not as good of a game as the other two we have left. So if you want to click off the video, you want to leave an angry comment, if you want to dislike the video, I understand, okay? I get it. I get there's a lot of nostalgia for the game, but it's not nostalgia that I have. So Melee lands at number 3, but what is Jaren's number 2? Will it be the recent Smash Bros. Game seen right here on my wall? Or will it be what some people see as the worst Smash Bros. Game ever, but also the game that I have a rug made out of the disc of? Pretty cool rug. Well, the answer is none of them. It's Project M, baby. No, I'm just kidding. It's Brawl. Brawl is number 2. Super Smash Bros. Brawl is, I think, very underrated, and I think, honestly, if you look at the content in this game, it's got more than Melee. And again, I understand that might get me beat up in an alley or something. However, Brawl introduced a whole lot of different characters. You got characters like Wario, Diddy Kong. You have characters like Sonic and Snake. Third parties hadn't been done before. Meta Knight and DDD. It also gave us what I think is still the best adventure mode that Smash has ever gave us in the Subspace Emissary, and it really told an interesting story, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the character interaction. The cutscenes were peak. The bosses were fun. There's obviously aspects of the Subspace Emissary that I don't like. I don't really like that you're just kind of in random locations and pretty boring locations, and sometimes it can get a little repetitive with the platforming sections, but the enemies are cool, the bosses are cool, the cutscenes are fantastic, and we also got third-party characters like Sonic and Snake, which hadn't happened before and did definitely lead to all the characters we got in Smash 4 and Ultimate. I think it paved the way for what Smash would eventually become, and I think it's very important in that aspect. Now, I also understand that the gameplay in Brawl is definitely an acquired taste. There's tripping, it's very floaty. The gameplay is a lot slower compared to Melee, which is a main reason people don't like this game. Brawl also went for like a more realistic art style for some reason. That was kind of strange. There's a lot of interesting choices made with this game, but it was a big swing. And I think it stuck the landing for the most part. Again, Subspace is a major aspect of that. Also, I know I said earlier that Smash 4 introduced custom stages. No, it didn't. Brawl did. Brawl introduced custom stages. You probably don't remember that. It was bad. It was really bad, but you know, it was there. Also, getting news about the game was also introduced in Brawl. The Smash Bros. Dojo was a website you could visit, and you would get daily posts about the game. I mean, some would be, this item's in the game. Hey, this stage is coming back. Also, here's Sonic. And we're like, oh, what? Oh yeah, Sonic's in the game. But yeah, I mean, that paved the way 100% for how we get news about Smash Bros. Now. Maybe it's not the best game, gameplay-wise. Maybe like one-on-ones, you wouldn't revisit that a whole lot to play just one-on-one Smash. But it paved the way for future Smash Bros. Games. It's got the best story mode of all of them by far, and it introduced a whole lot of cool characters, including third-party characters that made way for Cloud Strife and Banjo-Kazooie, and eventually Sora. But I definitely think that it is the second greatest Smash Bros. Game of all time, behind only Smash Ultimate. Is quite literally the ultimate Smash Bros. Game, and I don't think anyone can really disagree with me on that. It took Smash for gameplay and made it so much better, introduced so many mechanics, so many new fighters, so many stages, everything, and made it a whole lot better. We have so many fighters in this game, so many stages, so many items, so many assist trophies, so many Pokemon. It has everything. It has everything you'd want. Play with 8 players. We have finally decent online for Smash Bros. Now. The gameplay is phenomenal. The movesets are very cool. The new characters are fantastic. Sometimes too fantastic. Sometimes you want to punch somebody because they play Sora or Steve online, but you can't because it's online. But if your friend plays them, you can punch them, and you should. We won't put that in. That's, don't punch somebody. Don't punch somebody. It's a game. It's a game, dude. Just move on. But Smash Ultimate is by far the best Smash Bros. Game we've ever gotten. And as you can see by my YouTube channel, I talk about it a lot. And a lot of times I talk about it in a negative way, like, oh, I really could have done this better, or I really should have done this. But it's ridiculous, the amount of content we got in this game, and I don't know if that'll ever be done again, which is kind of sad, but it's also expected because of the amount of content that we got in this game, the amount of characters and everything. I mean, just the hype for this game, the trailers that were dropped, the E3 reveals, the build up to this game was definitely something else. The Everyone Is Here trailer will forever be seared into my brain because of how exciting it was and how excited I was for it. And I'm not sure if any Smash Bros. Game can ever top that. We could not get another Smash Bros. Game for 10 more years, and I would fully be satisfied with the Smash Bros. Game that I'm currently playing by the game we have now, and that's Smash Bros. Ultimate. And it is the best Smash Bros. Game to ever exist, and that's not my opinion. That is simply fact. Let me know what you guys think of this list in the comments below. Let me know how much you hate me for putting Melee that low. Let me know if you're a Smash 4 fan and you don't like the ranking, whatever. Just let me know in the comments. Let me know your opinion. Put your own rankings down in the comments. Leave your 1 through 6 down in the comments so I know what your ranking is. If you really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel out. It lets me know that you guys want to see more videos. Okay, guys, I will see you next time. Till next time, guys. Did it look like I disappeared? I didn't. I was actually right.